Today we're going to talk with athletic football writer Ted Nguyen, and all that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time, and today we're going to talk with athletic football writer Ted Nguyen. I enjoy Ted's articles, and I'm gonna tell you why. I learned something about the game of football every single time I read this man. He is excellent when it comes to breaking down football strategy, trends specifically in offensive football strategy, and these great draft prospects. Like, he did this great rundown of Dwayne Haskins on The Athletic and what he saw that he liked and what he saw that he did not like. And crucially, he gave free football lessons to the folks who wanted to know what makes Kyler Murray good on his Twitter feed, for which I retweeted, and I'm going to link that in the comments and in the description below. Now let's talk with Ted about what makes Kyler Murray such an outstanding quarterback. Give it a listen. So, first question for you. Do you think that John Gruden trades up to go get him?
I don't know if he will trade up to go get him, just because it will cost a lot to go up to number 4, and they traded away Khalil Mack for 2 first-round draft picks, so it'll be a hard sell to Raider fans. And I think this team has so many holes in it, and I think that they are happy with Derek Carr, and they're happy to give Derek Carr one more year. But it just depends on how infatuated Gruden is with Murray, and I wouldn't blame him to see why he would be so infatuated with Murray. But if he is, then I wouldn't know. I would think Arizona really loves Murray as well. I think he's a great fit in that offense. So I don't see it happening, but I could see the temptation being there for Gruden.
I don't know, man. If you follow in the media, he can't work a whiteboard. He's too short. Now I'm making jokes, but
yeah,
that came out of left field. Well, but go ahead, please.
Did you see the new report?
No.
From let's see who posted it yesterday. Give me 1 second. Jim Trotter, who is a very reputable reporter,
right,
reported that he talked to the Chargers. Coach Anthony Lynn said that he had an interview with Kyler. He was very impressive and sharp and had great recall on the whiteboard. So that's a source with actual names in it that said that Murray was actually pretty sharp on the board. And just watching the film, I just can't imagine that he is not sharp on the board, because he does so many high-level things from an intellectual standpoint.
Yeah, well, and that was kind of the thing that I took away as well. It just seemed off because I do report and follow the team so closely, and the way that Lincoln prepares his quarterbacks and what you have to be able to do to earn that job, it felt off. But when you watch him on film, I know that we're going to talk about 5'10", but what are the things that he absolutely does well that make him much more of a NFL quarterback than people might think?
Well, his ball placement skills are amazing. I mean, the numbers aren't quite there with Baker Mayfield, but they are in that same stratosphere. And those guys, Baker Mayfield is like an outlier because of how accurate he was last year. But Murray's in that stratosphere, and he's just able to place the ball and control the ball extremely well. He throws the back shoulder ball, maybe the best in its class, probably the best in its class. And it's just consistently the ball's in the right place. And even in tight windows, if he misses, that ball's going to where only his guy can get it or no one else can get it. And that's a hard skill to get down. Accuracy is one thing. Knowing where to place the ball in relation to the defense is another thing. And he has that skill. It's a rare skill.
When you watched him on film, were there certain route combinations or even wholesale plays that seemed to be his bread and butter, and what were the others that you might want to go away from after watching him go through those routes?
I'm not sure that there's really any play that or any route combination that he can't throw. Okay. I haven't really seen him struggle with much, because I mean, his worst game of the year was against Alabama, and I did a whole thread on all the impressive things he actually did in that game. Short accuracy is good, intermediate accuracy is good, deep accuracy maybe the best in his class. I think the numbers bear out that he is the best in class in deep accuracy. And he has the arm to make all the outside throws. So it's just, if he was taller, he might be one of the highest rated quarterbacks that ever come out of college. So, especially for a 1-year starter. So it's just hard to say that he really struggles with any particular type of route combination or concept.
So the height thing has gone either way for a lot of folks. I would just like to get your opinion on how big a deal it is to be tall or 6 feet tall in the NFL as a quarterback. And is there a cutoff actually for how short you can be to play that position?
Well, here's the thing that I don't understand. If you're playing Division I college football, you're playing with the same size guys that you're going to see in the NFL. Oklahoma has, 3 offensive linemen are going to go into the NFL. There are 6'5", so he's already being protected by these guys that are already NFL height. Defensive linemen like Alabama, the entire defensive line there is going to the NFL, so he's already proven that he could play against taller defensive linemen. He only had 5 passes batted down. So I don't see that argument being a real strong argument. And maybe the pockets will be a little tighter in NFL and it might be tougher for him to see, but I haven't really seen an example of him really struggling. And he does such a good job of moving around the pocket and bouncing around. He's so agile in there that he's able to find these passing lanes. And if he can't, he breaks outside the pocket. So I just don't see that as much of a problem. I would say 5'10" is probably the minimum you want to go. And Russell Wilson's proved that you can be 5'10" in the league and still be successful. There is a certain threshold you can't pass, but we haven't seen it yet. And Murray's the same side as Russell, who's had success in the league. So it's just, we haven't seen it yet, but I just think 5'10" is probably the minimum.
Right, and I remember Antoine Randall as the closest thing. He went in as a wide receiver, obviously, but he was in Indiana playing quarterback, and I'm a short guy, so I got a really big kick out of that. The next question I wanted to put to you, because this thread that you put together on Twitter, just going through that Alabama game was phenomenal, and I sincerely appreciate it because there are people who want to know what's the big deal and what does he do well, except to see the speed and the athleticism and his Houdini thing when the play breaks down. But I thought you did a really good job of pointing out how he finds his own throwing lanes. Even when that throwing lane might be filled, he finds another one. How did you ascertain that he could do that, except to see, I guess he was stepping into a window and then moving into another window?
Yeah, like I said, I just didn't see at any point where he struggled with seeing over the line. And when he was able, when the offensive line or defensive line moved in a certain way where a hole opened up where he could find a throwing lane, he was able to kind of instinctually find it and bounce into that hole. And if nothing was open there, he could bounce out to the next hole or reverse field. It's just his agility in the pocket is so good that he's just able to move from spot to spot so quickly and unpredictably that it just makes it tough for a defense to really get a beat on him, and it makes it easier for him to find a throwing lane or escape or kind of fake the defense out. I don't know if you've seen a lot of Aaron Rodgers, but I watch a lot of Aaron Rodgers, and what he does so well in the pocket is he's able to buy time by just faking rolling out to one way and kind of faking rolling out to the other way. The whole defense moves in that direction. I kind of see the same type of pocket agility as Rodgers with Murray. And I'm not saying he's going to be that good, but I'm just saying they share that same trait.
No, I appreciate you pointing that out because I believe it was Chicago when it was Aaron Rodgers had done something to that knee and he couldn't move around. And yet just him stepping in one direction or another seemed to move the defense or at least move the safeties. But to that point, you pointed out again in this thread that he nearly got destroyed by Quentin Williams, a running joke on this channel, by Quentin Williams. And he was able to just kind of move out of the way. And I was thinking to myself, like, yeah, I don't get to see guys do that ever, especially with the ease. Like, he just knew that he wasn't going to get touched or get rid of the ball. And he did get hit, right? Let's not pretend that he didn't. But those sorts of things just aren't regular. The question that I had going out of that was, if you're building an offense around him, what teams in the NFL can you absolutely rule out would not draft him?
The New York Giants will not draft him because they have a really old-fashioned kind of height or size threshold. Yeah, it's just like if you don't meet this requirement, then you're not going to be on our board for this position. So I think that's one of the teams. There's probably a few other teams with that kind of old school threshold too. I actually thought the Raiders here's the interesting thing about the Raiders. I think that Mike Mayock actually has kind of an old fashioned idea about size with quarterbacks, and I actually think he likes Dwayne Haskins better because he has a prototypical size. I think Gruden kind of doesn't care and just sees the film and is just kind of blown away. So there's kind of a mix up there. But there are teams that have that threshold, and Murray doesn't meet it. But the interesting thing with this year is that a lot of teams are dropping that threshold and becoming a little more forward thinking. So I can't give you an exact number of teams, but I do believe the Giants are one of them.
One of the questions that I get asked and I never have an answer for it, and I would appreciate if you would speak to, is folks always want to know, how do I get better at rewatching a game? How do I get better at actually picking out what a defense is doing or what an offense is doing from a TV copy standpoint? Are there tips that you are willing to divulge that would allow football fans to be better football fans?
I would say try to learn more about the game. I mean, there are just basic coverages and plays that you'll be able to see in college, high school, or the NFL. Like, learn all the nuances of a cover 3, learn all the nuances of a cover 2, learn how to identify the pre-snap, learn the rules of an outside zone play, learn the rules of an inside zone play. All that knowledge is available online. You can find it. And of course, there's more complicated plays and more complex things that you'll have to eventually learn if you really want to dive in that deep. But you can at least learn the basics. All the information's out there for you to pick up online. You can go to Google, YouTube, anything. Just find a good, reliable source. Don't go to any there's a lot of film wannabes out there that will just kind of don't really know what they're talking about. Will just kind of BS you. So just be careful of your source. But there's a lot of information out there.
All right. Ted Nguyen, Athletic, does an outstanding job analyzing film, breaking down this draft class, which has been a lot of fun for me to read. Also very helpful with the GIFs and the video to actually give visual representation to what he is writing about. Thank you for taking the time out, Ted.
No problem. It's fun talking.
All right.